Hi, everybody. Bryan Norcross here with your late afternoon tropical update. We have a new advisory from the National Hurricane Center as of 5 o'clock with new developments and also developments with the storm when we look at the satellite picture. So here we are this afternoon, and what I want you to notice is there's this concentration up here to the north of the Dominican Republic. Now, if you recall that yesterday we were tracking a center to the south of Puerto Rico that came over here south of the Dominican Republic, then suddenly it's kind of jumped up here to the north. Now, what we're seeing rotate there is actually in the middle levels of the atmosphere, not down at the surface where we actually track a center. But the Hurricane Center is thinking that this is most likely to become where the center is, and this is what we're going to end up tracking as it moves on up into the southern Bahamas and then on through the Bahamas. Now, as I said, we have a new advisory, so we have a new cone with new intensity forecasts, and the intensity forecasts have been bumped up some, in large measure because of what we see on the water vapor satellite. And what we see here, see these winds kind of blowing out there like that, and down here they're coming like this. What that means is the air is being evacuated out of the top of the storm, and if air goes out of the top, it has to come into the bottom to replace it. So that air coming into the bottom is the wind we feel at the ground, and when we see a lot of air going out of the top, that's a favorable environment for the storm to strengthen. Now, it doesn't look like that favorable environment is going to stick around for more than a little period of time here, but it should be enough to intensify the storm some. Looking at that area close up right along the coast, look at it here. Now watch as it spins. See, you can kind of make out a rotation in there. That's what we're looking at. And the other thing that's happening here is going to happen that still has a little bit of a question mark, a monkey wrench in it, is here are the very tall mountains in the Dominican Republic. Then if this is the rotation center up in there, then the air has to come off the Dominican Republic and rotate around into it. Well, once I get to those mountains, the air can't come that way so much, so it gets disrupted and it has to go around somehow. And so that's when the mountains can have an effect on the circulation, and it's a kind of a questionable effect. We never know exactly how much effect it's going to have. But with this very well-formed upper air environment, it probably is not going to be a huge effect, and we're probably going to have a significant storm once this thing moves away up toward the Turks and Caicos and the southern Bahamas here later on tonight and into tomorrow. All right, here is the latest cone as of the 5 o'clock advisory from the National Hurricane Center. You notice the cone and everything is kind of shifted to the north as we've been talking about. Now the center they're locating is more or less in the north central, along the north central coast of the Dominican Republic, and the cone is pushed farther north, and the intensities are a little higher now. Originally, the thinking was it would be about a 45 mile an hour, 50 mile an hour tropical storm in the southern Bahamas. Now the thinking is a stronger storm because it's starting out stronger and the center is already over the water. So follow it now as it comes up toward us. The shift has been offshore toward the Bahamas, remembering though that if the storm comes up even close, we're still going to feel it on Saturday, but the storm appears that it'll be lopsided with the worst weather over to the east. Notice that the National Hurricane Center is now forecasting all the way through the period from Saturday morning on up till Monday as the storm goes by Florida and off the southeast coast, a hurricane. But when they forecast 75 miles per hour in advance, you got to be ready for 15 or 20 miles per hour more, always being ready for a category more. So for our friends in the Bahamas especially, I would suggest being ready for a category 2 hurricane here. On the southeast coast, it doesn't look like the odds are low that we would have that. You can't say they're zero, that we would have a significant hurricane hit here until we get the storm past the Dominican Republic, kind of see more about how things develop. But it is looking good for the southeast coast as the likelihood of not having the strongest part of the storm. And the reason is that the cone has shifted is because the models have shifted. Now, here is the consensus model. That's the one we look at. These are generally weaker storms that would be to the left of that. So there is still a possibility of a weaker system coming here, but the consensus is when you average the main computer models, the consensus is farther offshore for the center of the storm. And then we have to think about the structure of the storm. So looking here at the center being here, just as an estimate, for example, notice that most of the bad weather is to the north and to the east. We have much less over here on the west side because we have this dry air, and the upper level winds are going to push that dry air toward the center and kind of tilt the storm over to the right. And this is why the National Hurricane Center is not calling for it to intensify dramatically into a Category 2, Category 3, or something like that, even though the water over the Bahamas is very warm. So that's the setup that we see right now. The news this afternoon for Southeast Florida is good. We're concerned for the Bahamas. The storm looks like it will be stronger. And then after it leaves here, up the East Coast, the computer model forecasts take it very close to the mid-Atlantic and even the Northeast coast. As we get over the weekend, later in the weekend, and into early next week. It's going to move very, very quickly. So let your friends in the Northeast know they need to stay well informed with what's going on with the Tropical Storm Isaias. Okay, let's wrap it up there. And, of course, we'll bring you up to date later on if anything new develops. Stay with us right here. And, of course, on Local 10 in South Florida or local10.com. Our newscasts are always on there live. We'll see you later.